video, I'm going to install Nexus Repository Manager on DCOS. I'm going to set it up as a private Docker registry, push a Docker image to it, and then deploy that Docker image back to the same DCOS. This will all be done on Amazon Web Services, AWS. I currently have a DCOS installation here with Marathon LB on it. Other than that, it's the straight CloudFormation template. From the universe, I can search for the Nexus package and install it. Using advanced installation, I'm going to set the storage to persistent, and I'm going to enable an external volume. In AWS, this sets up a elastic block storage named Nexus Data to store my data. I'm going to do some advanced configuration on this Nexus application that will allow me to set my Docker registry up later. First, I'm going to adjust the default service port, exposing this on 10,000. And I'm going to add another port for my registry. On both the container and the load balancer, I am going to set this to 10,001. A couple other things I'd like to do is set labels for the HA proxy group external, and then the proxy vhost, which I'm going to set to the A name of my HA proxy here. This allows Marathon LB to know how to configure my Nexus application and expose it through its HA proxy. I need to go back and change the port name here. I'm going to call it Docker. Now, DCOS is going to spin up an instance of Nexus. It's going to stage and then deploy it. I now have my Nexus instance up and running, and I can navigate it to it through the load balancer. I previously set the port to 10,000. If I go over here, I get the Nexus Repository Manager UI. Signing in allows me to create a private Docker registry. Under my repositories, I'd like to add a new repository of type Docker hosted, and I'm going to give it a name. And I'm going to connect on the Docker container port we previously set up. Now I can create my repository, and I can verify here that it is exposed. Here you go, not a Docker request. Next, I'm going to jump over to my machine here, and this is my local machine, and I have a well, first I'm going to log in, let's see, to my new Docker registry. And next, I would like to tag a Docker image, a Docker file, build and tag a Docker file I have locally, and then push it over to this new Docker registry. Here I'm going to build it, and we'll have to wait as it completes. Now that it's built, I'm going to push and it's pushing up to our Docker registry in Nexus. Now that the Docker image is pushed up to the Nexus Repository Manager, I can browse to verify its existence. In my components, I have my Docker hosted Docker registry, and you can see that Sonatype say is now available here. As a last step, I'd like to deploy this Docker image back to DCOS. Here I add a new service, and we are going to use the Docker image from Nexus Repository Manager. I have off-camera added authentication for the Docker registry to the various agents on my DCOS cluster. This allows me to set the configuration here as to where to look for the Docker auth. I'll review and run this, and now I run. It's currently deploying Sonatype say. And running it. Now if I jump over here, I can go to my logs, and I can verify that this is running correctly. That's it. That's how easy it is to set up a private Docker registry with all the power of Nexus Repository Manager in DCOS on AWS. Thank you.